everyone, in today's video I want to share with you 5 things I wish I knew before I started fashion photography. So we're going to start off this video with a bit of a downer, but the first one is that when you're starting out, you're not always going to be paid. Moment of silence. This doesn't mean that you have to work for free. That's not what I mean at all. So if you're getting into fashion photography or portrait photography, you're going to need a portfolio to start off with to be able to show off to clients so they can hire you to work for them. So in order to put together this portfolio, you can either find freelance models or you can get in contact with modeling agencies and do a few test shoots with their models to start putting together a book that shows off your style and what you can do. If you've never gotten in contact with a modeling agency before, I actually released a video on how to do that, and I'll link that in the description below in case you want to watch it. My second point is communication. It's so important to have open and clear communication with your client in order to avoid any misunderstandings. One of the most important things when shooting with clients is to have all the information that you need for the photo shoot beforehand in order for you to be fully prepared for the photo shoot. So this includes really simple things such as knowing how many looks you're going to be photographing on the day, knowing who everyone is that's going to be part of the shoot, so the models, the makeup artists, if there's any set designers, if they're bringing any assistants, just find out all that information. It's also good to know how many photos they're expecting of you from the end of the day, as this gives you a clear indication of how much you should be shooting on the actual day of the photo shoot. It's also great to be able to find out things like when the client wants to release the photos and giving them a clear indication of what your usual turnaround time is before you actually book in the shoot. This means that you'll be able to plan ahead and do the photo shoot with enough time for you to have to edit all the photos that your client needs. And it's also really important to keep open communication with your client to let them know how you're doing with the photos. For example, you're halfway done through editing the photos, I would probably email the client and let them know that it would take X more days and I'll be sending them all the final photos just so they can be prepared to start uploading them to their website. My next point is location scouting. So I've shot with many fashion clients in the past before, and I found that it's kind of 50-50 on who decides what the location for the photo shoot is. Sometimes the client already knows exactly where they want to do the photo shoot. They've planned out the location or they've booked out the location that they want to shoot in. And sometimes the client only has a vague idea of what they want. Say they want to shoot at a beach or maybe at a park, and it's up to me to be able to find the location for them. So if your client doesn't know where they want to shoot, to get things started, I like to ask them a few questions. So I kind of like to get the idea of what they're after. I give them a few key points of location ideas that they can use. And once they've gotten back to me, for example, if they want to do a beach photo shoot, I will then send them through some examples of the types of beaches that we could shoot at. Once they've decided which one they like, I like to go for a location scout, which means that you physically go to the location to check it out. So I have a few points when it comes to location scouting. The first one is to location scout at the same time that the photo shoot is going to take place. For example, if your photo shoot is going to be in the afternoon, there's not really much point to location scouting in the morning, as by the time the afternoon rolls around, the natural lighting conditions will have totally shifted. This doesn't matter so much if you don't really shoot with natural light, but if you do, that one is super important. Another thing that I like to do is bring my camera with me when I'm location scouting and take photos of the specific spots I was thinking of using for the photo shoot. That way, when I get back home, I can email my client those photos to make sure they're 100% happy with the location that we've decided on. My next point is to ask for inspiration images. So sometimes descriptive words only go so far. What might mean beautiful to one person might be a completely different meaning to the next person. So in order to avoid any of that miscommunication again, I just ask for inspiration photos. When I do this, I ask for something really specific so I don't get sent like a Pinterest board with thousands of photos that the client just generally likes. So instead, I might ask my client if they can send me photos of what they want the lighting in the photo shoot to look like, or send me photos of what they want the posing to look like. That way you get sent specific and relevant inspiration images that you can reference when you're preparing yourself for the photo shoot. Last but not least is to send image proofs. You've finished the photo shoot and now you have hundreds of images to sort through and select the final ones that need to be edited. A photographer has a completely different eye for what makes a good photo than a designer does or whoever your client is. So while I might think something's a perfectly technical photo, the designer might want something else because it shows off what their clothes look like better. So over time, I found that the best way to be able to do this is to send an image proof. And if you don't know what that is, I'll just insert a little picture here so you can see. And it's basically a PDF with a thumbnail of all the photos that you took that day. This doesn't mean that you should send your client the whole 1,000 photos that you took that day. As a photographer, I still go through and cull all the images. I get rid of any blurry ones, I get rid of any where the model was blinking and things like that. And if we were shooting, for example, a lookbook, I select maybe 10 photos per look for the client to choose from. So rather than them having to go through 1,000 images, they only have to go through maybe 100. I like to put together my proof sheets using Adobe Bridge, as it's an automated script that does it for you really easily, and I'll just show you quickly now how that's done. And I've found that the majority of my clients absolutely love this because they're in control of what's representing their brand and what photos are going on their website. So those are the 5 things I wish I knew before I started fashion photography. Luckily, I've already lived through all these experiences, so I can just tell these to you guys in a video, and hopefully you've learned something from this. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, as I love hearing from you guys. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!